equity, mate.
I will say this about investing. Everything you do learn is cumulative. What I learned at 20 is useful.
And, okay, is there any money in? I mean, so many areas covered.
Yeah.
So many still to go. If you've got a suggestion, hit me up on MySpace and hit the lads up on their various Instagram.
Bebo.
We're big on threads now.
Yeah.
Oh, shut up. Is there anything sadder than Musk versus Zuckerberg? It is every now and again, even though they're... Hello, boys. Nice to see you. Even though they're the two of the richest people in the world... Don't show yourselves like this. Don't show us all. No, don't show us, Musk and Zuckerberg. Don't let this show us that you're still just two nerds who suspect that everybody hates them.
Did you see what Elon
Don't
tweeted?
give yourself away. You've had the hairpiece, Elon. Zuckerberg, you're pretending to do jiu-jitsu where everyone has to pretend you're the winner like Kim Jong-un in table tennis. Okay? Don't give yourself away by getting into a spat with another dork so that we all go, oh, that's right. You're just a couple of dorks that everybody hates.
Do you see that?
And we're back.
Elon today proposed...
You wouldn't want to see it?
The fight
Yeah.
or the dick measuring contest?
Yeah, did you see this?
What?
Elon literally proposed a dick measuring contest today.
What? No, I did not.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
You know why?
Are you
You know
kidding?
why you didn't
That's
know that?
pathetic.
Because it was on Twitter when no one is.
Wow. What did he tweet?
Oh, it's just Zucker. It was tragic. It was exactly what I'm saying. It's two dorks like Gates, right? Bill Gates. Remember when all that stuff came out about his old wild sex parties and he used to do this and he used to do
Like
that, right?
Epstein.
No, yeah, well, a bit of Epstein, but then just sort of mild, sort of orgy work, right? And he kept it cardigans and glasses. He was like not addressing that anyway about the future. Smart, keeping it low. Whereas these two dorks are just desperate
Musk
to be cool.
is kind of killing his legacy.
I hate him now.
Yeah,
I'm sick
he's
of
Well,
really...
why would you like him? What was there to
I mean,
like?
he had...
SpaceX and
done some amazing-
Tesla are like going to be two of the most profound companies of our lifetime. And there's an argument about how much influence he had and if he just had the right people around him. But the fact of the matter is...
Fair enough. They both exist, and he is the public-facing face of... It's like Wham. But would there have been Wham without Andrew Ridgeley?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. No?
But the thing is, like, they were two businesses that a lot of people tried and failed at as well. And so you have to give some credit there.
No,
Yeah.
it's not a no credit situation. It's a how much is his personality going to ruin exactly that
Well, that's
point?
what I'm saying,
Yeah.
He's day by day killing.
Yeah.
What he was... Yeah, anyway, let's...
like
we're
Kanye.
talking books. We're talking books today.
Today we're talking books.
Yes.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
there
by
money
the way,
in
is
books?
there money in books? Now,
You've got to give a rating at the start.
okay, now we should preface this with I am speaking to two highly respected published authors.
And when are they coming in?
So I'm looking forward to getting some lived experience from both of you.
Yeah.
On one hand, we have Bryce Lesky, dual publisher
Dual
of
author.
Get Started Investing and Don't Stress, Just Invest. Available for pre-order or in all good bookstores, depending on when we
I've
release
read
this
the other
episode.
one.
Don't
Stress, just invest.
Yeah.
You sent me an advance copy.
Yeah.
You actually gave us an endorsement for it.
I gave you a quote.
We're going to milk that for all
Are you
of
going
us.
to use it?
What's the difference between an endorsement and a quote?
Well, the quote's on the book.
It's an endorsement quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to use
I
it.
enjoyed
We're
it.
using
We
it.
have
It's
used
on
it.
there.
Yeah, good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was a good book. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
That was helpful and useful. It was
That's
good.
great.
I enjoyed it.
The two things we strive for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so that's Bryce, but on the other side of the table, we have dual published author as well,
Thank you.
Ed Cavalier, A First Time for Everything,
Yep.
written with your wife,
Yep.
Tiff. And then Daddy's Embarrassing Exploding Farty Shorts.
Written with?
A memoir.
Written by?
No, you and your brother, I think.
No, my son. It was written by me. The idea being...
I didn't expect that as an option. I was expecting either brother or dad.
So the gag was that every person in the public eye has to release a fart book, right?
it's so weird.
Classic.
Right.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, I'll do one, but I'm going to write one. You only need the mental capacity of a 4-year-old to do it. So I'm going to write one with a 4-year-old. So I got my son. One day I came home and my wife had thrown my gym shorts in the bin because I fart in them too much, right? And my son, 4 years old at the time, fell about laughing. He couldn't believe it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard in his life. So I just sat down with him one day and said, let's record what happened to Arnie, to Daddy's shorts. And he said, okay. And we recorded it. And here is some of it.
You little fatty.
What's What's the name of the book?
Daddy and Short.
Okay, so that goes on. I just transcribed that conversation with my son,
Epic.
sent it to a publisher, we published it, and,
Wow.
we're doing a sequel.
No way.
Wow.
And the joke I always make is I was unhappy with my initial creative partnership. I didn't think my wife had brought enough, so I brought in my 4-year-old son.
Well, speaking of
Wow.
all celebrities doing fart books, we are in Booktopia's hot pre-orders at the
Oh,
moment.
good.
Right next to Zoe Foster Blake,
Oh,
big
yeah,
company,
that's fair enough too.
and her book, Fart's Favorite Smells, a Lift the Flap book.
Well, now I'm
More farting.
I'm
books.
f***ed. If she's got one coming out, then that's.
Wait, is hers one of the scratch and sniff?
No,
ones?
her
guess
lift.
so.
It'll be like that. I'm trying to let's play guess the book. It'll be like so fart likes something that
Like
smells
cinnamon.
rotten and this, and then you lift it up and it's
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
gag
yeah.
because you got to remember the dark hand of Hamish Blake will be working to help the joke writing in that book. So he's a genius, but the dark hand of Hamish Blake will be present.
It's also not Zoe's first fart
No,
book.
no.
Some people may have seen her original fart book, Zoe Foster Blake, No One Likes a Fart.
Wait.
yeah.
When you say someone might have, you mean the hundreds and thousands of people who bought it?
Yeah.
So
They
we-
probably saw it.
We don't have
Massive.
kids, so I think we kind of miss some of this, at least for now.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
come. It's either coming or it's
Doesn't
not.
Andy also have a fart book?
No. Andy has a Don't Turn This Page book, which
Yeah.
has sold millions of copies all around the world.
He was in
Wow.
Italy signing books on
Yeah,
his
no, he's
Instagram.
Should we
He's-
turn that into a horror movie?
What?
Don't turn this page.
Jesus, not bad actually. Getting back to our horror.
Yeah.
We need to write that horror script. Actually, that's a funny day. We set up a YouTube live stream and we go, right, we're going to write a horror script in a day and try and sell it. That's a funny
Not
idea.
Bring in
bad.
your 4-year-old.
That's here. But that's a funny idea to say. Right, we're going to spend one day doing. Because I always say, look, there's an old joke in comedy that there's everything called some people, particularly books as well. It's a dramedy, and a dramedy is just a drama with a couple of jokes. Yeah. But the joke inside comedy's the hard part. Anyone can write a drama. That's the easy bit. Comedy's the hard bit of that dramedy bit. The reason that they don't call it a comedy is because it's not funny enough. So you call it a dramedy. That's the giveaway. And a lot of books, that every memoir, a coming of age dramedy. And you go, oh, okay, couldn't write jokes, could you?
All right,
Anyone
guys,
can sook.
I am mindful that we're 7.5 minutes in and we haven't even got
That's
to
my fault.
the introduction.
You got to stop saying things that dangle.
This is obviously a topic close to
Yeah,
Ed's
yeah.
heart.
Dangling things at me.
So the reason I wanted to introduce the fact that you were both authors at the start is so it gives some context when I ask this question. What do you think out of 10 in terms of is there money in books?
2.
Not my own experience, but the reality of it, and with the caveats that we do pointy end, long tail. 10.
You think there's 10 out of 10
There
money
are.
in books?
It is possible to be an author and buy a castle.
Yes,
That is
literally.
a possibility. It is a possibility to be an author and buy a DeLorean. That is possible.
It is, but
That's a 10.
It's weird that Ed told us that he's driving his DeLorean back to his
That's good
castle
stuff.
tonight.
That is good stuff. They fart sell, baby.
sure. I think if you take away like the top 5 most successful authors in the world, you're back at a 2.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
I disagree.
Well, guys, I don't need you to argue about it. I have all the information here.
Let's go.
I just wanted your opinion.
Okay.
Side note, I've got a little thesis. If fart books work, maybe we launch a fart podcast.
What? Just the sound. The sounds.
kids- Does it have to-
Celebrities farting into the mic.
All right. Well, that is.
You've derailed it. You've
That's probably
derailed
a
it.
different audience, but it actually is a very good idea.
Thanks. I knew
That's
you'd
actually
like it.
very good.
And then you have to guess.
No, I know. Yes. I'm fully aware.
All right. Largest book deal in history. I'm going to start with the answer and then we'll get into the details.
Sean Spicer?
No. So I've split it out. I've got largest single book deal in
Okay,
history,
okay.
but I'm going to start. This is a multi-book deal. This is just
Obama.
headline number, largest book deal in history.
J.K. Rowling to do past Harry Potter, the Grim with all those other shit
No.
ones.
It'll be a politician.
It is not. It is someone right up your alley. Crime vibes.
Oh, James Patterson.
James Patterson.
Yep.
$150 million for 11 adult books
Brilliant.
and 6 young adult books. So 17
How many had he
books.
written before that deal?
Oh,
Like,
stupid amounts.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Genius.
That's a good
150
advance.
mil, yeah.
Advance or just a deal?
That's advanced.
Yeah. Largest single book deal in history.
Obama.
Now, the Obamas, I think, have been unfairly treated in this category because
They're
Barack
split.
and Michelle
Yeah.
were together for 65 mil for the two of them.
Harry?
No. This is equal first.
What?
One is being published now, this year, and the other was published in the early 2000s.
Diana?
No.
Published now.
Published now.
Don't know.
Go.
Bill Clinton's autobiography
Okay.
Oh,
and
okay.
Britney Spears'
Oh.
upcoming book.
Wow, she's done
Each
well.
of them got 15
Okay.
mil
Is that it?
for one book.
No, that's a hot story. That's great.
That's what I mean.
That's
For the
good
spiciness
money.
of Britney, like I feel like.
Right,
it's
so we
not-
got 1.
Yeah, I know what we got.
Less than
I
1%
know
of
what-
that.
Yeah, but we're also not Britney Spears.
Yeah, so you keep
Not
telling
yet.
me.
Not yet, guys. Not yet.
That's the biggest deals. In terms of overall net wealth, there's a few wealthy authors. Well, there's a lot. But in terms of the top ranks, Stephanie Meyer, 125 mil.
Yeah.
Not bad. Twilight. Dan Brown.
But also just 4 books for how many? 4,
Yeah.
5?
Yeah.
And then nothing.
Her ROI.
Like that's pretty big. For it was a phenomenon. Nothing since.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask
Not
for
bad.
I'm gonna ask for no commentary on these authors
fuck's sake.
because I've got
Wrong
a bit
place.
of a list here. Dan Brown, 178 mil. Jeffrey Archer, 195 mil. Nora Roberts, 390. John Grisham, 400 million. Stephen King, 500 million. Here's the top 3. I'll allow commentary again for the podium finishers. Danielle Steele. Does anyone recognize that name?
Yeah,
No.
romance.
Oh, you see, I didn't recognize it. $600 million. She is the world's best-selling living author in terms of total number of books sold.
If you're in a hotel right now, go to the lobby, pick one up. It's in there. Trust me.
Okay.
She's authored more than 180 books and sold more than 800 million copies. Pretty amazing. Number 2, James Patterson, 800 million net worth, authored more than 140 novels, sold more than 425 million copies. So not as many as Danielle Steele, but the RRP must be a bit higher.
They are.
Yeah. Number 1, no prizes for guessing. One author. There's a bit of a caveat here. There are people that have written books that have a heap of money, but in terms of people that have made their money from being an author, J.K. Rowling is the only billionaire. Net worth of $1 billion. Harry Potter and everything since. 600 million copies sold. So not as many as Danielle Steele, but the wealthiest author.
Are we allowed to talk about the enormous plot hole in Harry Potter that deems the whole series unreadable?
Sure.
Ready?
Yeah.
Righto. Let's say you go to Hogwarts. Let's just say you're an ordinary student at Hogwarts. Do you go? Who reads it? Which one of you've read it?
Oh, we grew
You've
up
both
with
read it.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
great. Give me another student at Hogwarts.
Neville Longbottom.
Great. Don't know who that is. Let's just say you are Mr. and Mrs. Longbottom, right? Neville comes home from a term at Hogwarts, and they go, because it's boarding school.
Yeah.
Go, how'd it go? Neville says, what? Oh, yeah. You all right, Nev? What? Sorry, what? Nev, what's the matter? Oh, no, it's just, it's this kid called Harry, and there's this wizard who's trying to kill him, and these ghosts came and murdered a teacher, and we had to stop classes for like 4 weeks because there was this giant
It all happens in one term.
dog horse that was going to kill us all, and I don't want to go back, Mum and Dad. What fucking school, what fucking educational system allows this to take place and keeps demanding that children show up? If a kid rocks up with some peanut butter in his lunch, the whole place gets sent home. What fucking educational institution are they running? This is what would happen. All of the give me another student.
What's the Malfoy?
Mr. Malfoy or Mrs. Malfoy would ring up and go, hey, Mr. Longbottom, yeah. Hey, did you, the dog thing and the murder? Yeah. We need to do something. They would get together, the parents would rock up, and they would say, Harry needs to get expelled today or my son is going to be murdered, like the teacher was. And Dumbledore would be like, but he's the chosen one. We don't give a shit. He can go to another school, but we are pulling our children if our son is murdered because of this head, because he's got a scar on his forehead, and you reckon he might save us all. We could save us all right now by expelling that little shit, and he would get his fucking ass kicked out.
Plot hole.
Fair enough. Anyway, if your kids go to school with Ed's kids, watch out.
Look out.
But come on. Anyway.
All right. Let's get this back. This could be a long episode in the end. All right. So that's globally wealthiest authors. Let's zoom in on Australia. Now, there's not a great resource on the wealthiest authors in Australia, but
Barefoot.
I've got him.
Barefoot.
So for me, I think he's Australia's best-selling non-fiction author.
That's what he told me.
Yeah.
I thought he was.
Have you met him?
Yeah, many times. Lovely guy. And he told me that himself.
We are trying to get in contact with him.
No.
He's impossible.
You're the competition.
We're not trying to compete with him. We're trying to just give him a copy of
I'll
our
message him.
book.
He's a great guy.
What do you reckon his net worth is?
Papey.
Yeah.
I don't reckon
He sold-
relative to a lot of those.
No, he doesn't have $1 billion.
Yeah,
in a
I reckon
castle
like
J.K.
20
Rowling.
mil.
It'll say 15. It'll be heaps more than that.
Well, it said between 4 and 7, depending on the source.
Way more.
He's all invested
Way
in
more.
Vanguard index funds. Australia's best.
Do you know that's what I did with the money from my son's portion of the book?
Oh, nice. Put
Because
it in.
I chucked it into Vanguard.
Nice.
And he's trying to get it out to buy Lego. And I say, you can't have it, mate.
Yeah, good.
That's what I did with it.
Good. That's good. You have been listening to our podcast.
I do listen. on speed 2.
I think, from what I could find, Tim Winton is Australia's
Yeah.
best-selling author.
Yeah.
5 million.
No, what about Matthew, the Elliot, the guy that the ice station?
Matthew Riley? I
Riley,
forgot.
sorry, Riley.
I don't think he's sold as much as Tim Winton. Maybe he has, but maybe
I think
not
he's
in
got
one
more
book.
international sales.
Probably.
Yeah. He owns a DeLorean.
Yeah.
There you go.
yeah.
I do feel sorry for Matthew Riley because it feels like he's been living in LA for about 15 years and he's got so close to making his books into
Yeah.
movies so many times. Disney optioned
I know.
Hover Car Racer, a few others. Yeah.
He did an interview recently where he talked about that. Finally got one made where he was able to direct it on Netflix.
But it wasn't one of his books. It was just another
story.
Yeah.
But anyway, fair play to him.
Yeah. Somewhere between 5 and 20 million net worth, depending
Great
on the
effort.
source. So again, like even if you're just playing in Australia or if you're an Australian author that then expands overseas, there's money in books.
Yeah.
You can build wealth as an author.
You haven't mentioned Andy.
Andy Lee.
He has sold so many books.
The challenge is...
It would just be hard for him to work out which money came from where.
Yeah, that was the thing. Yeah.
Even for him?
Tough problem to have, isn't it?
Yeah, good luck, mate. Well done to him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, millions of copies.
Really?
Yeah, worldwide. Yeah.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Has Hamish written a book?
Yeah, I think he helped with one of the ones. Oh, Time for Bed. I think him and Zoe, one of their kids' books, they wrote one together. But yeah.
Oh, I'm just looking at Hamish Blake. He's written one with Zoe called Textbook Romance.
Oh, no, that was a long...
Ages ago.
yeah, whatever.
Bro,
Yeah.
we've moved on from that.
Yeah, let's
It had a
move on.
great
Anyway.
children's book. All right, so there is money in books. Let's talk about how it is distributed.
Ugh.
The size of Australia's book market, $1.3 billion worth of books sold in 2022.
Audiobooks?
Add in audiobooks and you get to just shy of 1.7 billion.
Love that growth.
Yeah.
I love that growth.
Yeah.
As an avid audiobook guy, one of the best investments you can make is a monthly Audible subscription.
Yeah.
It is the value is unbelievable.
As much as I hate it because there's an opportunity cost with podcasting, every time you listen to an audiobook, I tend to agree with
I
you.
disagree because you're on your phone, you're listening.
Barefoot also has the best selling Audible book in Australia.
He's good, isn't he?
Yeah.
All this free publicity we're giving him, surely he replies to our emails now.
No, we got a reply from him. He said no. No, seriously. Most recently, he's like, I'm just totally out.
Was that you trying to get him? Were you trying to get him to read your book?
No, we're trying
So
to get
I've
him
reached
to
out-
do... Anyway,
I've reached out to him for both books.
Yeah, no, that's too
and
much. You're
I
asking
got
too much of the guy.
to
You
read
can't-
a book.
Yes, he doesn't have to. I've got time. He doesn't have time. Show him some credit. He doesn't have time for that shit.
I also asked if he would come on the podcast when he was doing that schools TV show.
Oh yeah.
Got the flick there as well.
You know what? I can't help you.
All right. Anyway, books. Hey, 70.9 million units sold in 2022.
Love that.
9.5 million of which was sold in the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Love it.
Yeah. Ebooks account for an average of 11% of total sales for major Australian publishers
I ain't
now.
going anywhere, those things. I'm sorry. They've reached their point. I don't The ebook, I've tried to e-read. It's
Nah.
tough.
I'm a
It's
big-
niche.
I'm a big Kindle guy.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the difference? You mean ebook as in Kindle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Kindle guy too.
Two reasons why I love it. Number one, traveling. You can travel
Fair
with
enough,
multiple
yep,
books.
yep.
And number two, if you're reading in bed, you don't have to have the lamp on, so it doesn't
Yeah.
piss your partner off.
Yeah, and you don't need a bookmark. Never lose your spot.
True.
You can highlight things. Anyway,
Amazon, send us the check for that. According to the Australian Publishing Association, the industry sells around 56 million books a year. Now, question for both of you, if you want to play closest to the pin. How many new titles are published annually just from Australian authors each year? So not foreign books coming to
10,000.
Australia? 10,000?
Yeah. 10,000's a hell of a lot. I'd go 5.5.
5,500?
Yeah.
22,000.
Felt low. Mine felt low.
Why didn't you go higher?
No. Don't know. And 21,000 of those are undo.
Hang on, 20,000 new titles
Every year.
Yeah. in Australia.
In Australia.
There's no money in books.
Well, we'll get to that because the tail is
Yeah,
long.
yeah.
So just to close out my stats bonanza, around 3,700 people are employed in the Australian publishing industry. So, over $1 billion in sales a year, tens of thousands of new titles published each year, a lot of thousands of people employed. There's an industry here. There's money in this. So the question is, where does it go? And to help us visualize it, I'm going to take a $30 book
Great.
and talk about how the money flows.
Yeah, nice.
So let's start with what goes to the author. On average, it's about 10% of the RRP,
Yep.
recommended retail price, goes to the author. Unless you negotiate a better deal, Ed.
Yeah, right.
So 10% goes to the author. So that's about $3 of a $30 book. 20% of the cost of the book is in the materials. Now, there's a pretty broad range here, between a few percent to up to or like 40%
Depending on
of the
the
book
length
cost.
of the
Art
book,
type,
the art
cover.
type,
Yeah.
all that,
Yeah.
pictures inside, all that stuff.
Even like the paper size,
Yeah,
we've
that's what I'm-
learned
yes,
plays a big
yes,
cost.
yes.
The quality
Type
of
of
the paper.
paper, yes.
Yeah. So, but the average sort of middle range that I found was about 20%, so about $6 of the book, of a $30 book,
okay.
is in materials. 5% is in warehousing and freight. So actually storing and transporting the book is quite expensive. That's about $1.50 of the book goes to that. Now 20% goes to the publisher, and that pays for the publisher's overhead. That pays for staff,
Lights
all
on.
of that stuff. And then finally, that leaves 45%, which goes to the bookseller. Now, so that's about $13.50. But keep in mind, book retail is a very tough business.
Yeah, I agree.
And
yeah.
you'll often see everywhere these days books marked down from their RRP.
Yeah.
That is all coming out of the bookseller's margin.
Whoa.
I mean, all you need to know as an author,
Whoa.
if you're thinking about this, is the first number.
The $3 of a $30.
None of the other numbers matter.
Yeah. Well, let's
It's all-
zoom in. Let's zoom in on the author because that's the most interesting part of
Yeah.
this. Bryce, how much money did we make from Get Started Investing?
I can't disclose. We'll get done by the tax guys.
What I can disclose is that we made about $3 a book because we were $29.95 RRP and we got 10%
We actually get a little bit higher than that, Ren.
because we've sold over a certain amount.
Yeah, I think we get about $3.50.
Yeah. So we had a kicker after we became a bestseller.
12%.
New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
I'm just saying all this to see what Ed's reaction is.
I'm excited for you.
So, how about you, Ed?
No, I'm an advanced type of guy. I'm a gimme it up front, and kids' books are slightly different, and we'll see how we go, and then royalties and whatevs. But my wife has 7 books out.
No way.
My wife has published 7 books, and every now and again, I'll go, "Darl, yeah, you got $3." She's like, "Coolies," but every now and again, you do get a check.
Yeah.
For a few bucks.
It's a nice little
And you go,
surprise.
that's a nice little surprise.
So here's the thing with that. A lot of people might think a book, they might have dreams of Scott Pape, that their book is a forever long tail of royalties. Not the case. On average, 90% of an author's royalties come in the first 90 days.
Yeah, and imagine...
That's not our case, though,
What was the highest selling book of 1986? No one knows.
Probably Barefoot Investor.
But you know what I mean? Like there are decades of best-selling novels that would never have been read since.
Yeah. And you think about less now because of Amazon and Booktopia and stuff like that, but the traditional book selling window was you had shelf space for a while, and unless you kept selling, you got delisted.
Yep.
Yeah. So does it feel like every book is a bestseller or a New York Times bestseller?
Well, there's a way to game that system.
Yeah.
There's a bit of controversy about how release date, units shipped versus units sold. I'm looking at you, Prince Harry, where there's ways there's been a bit of a scandal about how one might end up on said list.
There was also a court case, and I didn't write down the name of the book, but an author actually sued the New York Times.
They were suppressing. It was a conservative. I remember this. There was a conservative commentator that should have easily been on top of this list. New York Times did not want to promote this person, so found ways of chicanery to not let them on, and they took him to court.
They basically said it's a curated list.
That's
It's
right.
not- yeah.
And they had to come out and say, all right, you got us.
Well, no, I think the New York Times won the case.
Yeah, but didn't they have to admit that there are different metrics used?
Yeah. So, and then even within that, there's a lot of books that become New York Times bestsellers, and this little clip explained why.
Why does it feel like every book you hear about is a New York Times bestseller? They can't all be bestsellers, right? The word best is reserved for one individual thing. Well, surprise, surprise, the name is very misleading. The New York Times ranks books in a lot of different categories: nonfiction, children's books, middle school books, biographies, how-tos, ebooks, and they even distinguish between hardcovers and paperbacks because, that totally makes a lot of difference. Lots of lists means less competition in each specific genre, which means books can make it onto the bottom of one of those lists with as little as 10,000 total sales. The authors get to call their book a bestseller, and the New York Times gets to be the de facto authority on book ranking, which means that they make a lot of money from people purchasing books from the affiliate links on their website. A New York Times decent seller in one very specific genre just doesn't have the same ring to it.
So the question is, if you become a bestseller, do you think that means you've made money from your book?
I was thinking this, no.
I'm going to go with no. And before we wrap up, I've got my favourite stat about free books online turning into money, which is the one I always go to in these situations.
Nice.
Twilight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good one. Do you want to tell us now, or do you want to leave it as a cliffhanger?
Do you guys know it?
Yeah.
Have I told you before?
Yeah.
I think yeah.
How many times was Twilight fan fiction about S&M, bondage, downloaded before she took it back off the internet, changed the names of just the characters and turned it into 50 Shades of Grey? How many times was that downloaded before she got a publishing deal?
Wasn't it like 100 million?
Yeah, it was heaps.
It's 1 million and counting. But still, I've written some fan fiction. Get it down. Change Bella and Edward to whatever and whatever, and repackage. Back out it goes. Unbelievable.
Yeah. It's crazy. So, getting to the bestseller question.
Please.
The short answer is no. Like, a lot of bestsellers don't make any money.
Wow.
In Australia, depending on the time of year, the publishing rule of thumb is between 6,000 and 10,000 makes you a bestseller. 6,000 because it's all relative. Like,
Cool. Yes.
6,000 in the middle of winter, not peak book selling season.
Gotcha.
10,000 in the lead up right before Christmas. Based on our ease of maths before, $30 RRP, $3 a book. If you sold 10,000 copies, you're a bestseller. You've made $30,000.
Not going to cut it.
Yeah.
Not
now,
going to cut it.
that's a best, and keeping in mind that on average, 90% of your royalties come in the first 90 days. So it's not like that 30,000 is recurring.
I'd like to change my answer, please. To no.
But let's take a step back from bestsellers and just think about the average book. So jumping over to the US, bigger market, but more books. The American Book Trade Association says that the average book sells 500 copies.
Wow.
Holy
Wow.
moly.
Yeah. And so 500, $3 a book, $1,500 bucks.
Are you kidding?
No.
I self-published a book on Amazon out of spite. So Husey said, you can't write a novel. I said, you, I can. So I went and wrote a true crime scrovel, which is half novel, half script comedy, based on 6 true crimes that I found on the internet, and then wove them into a narrative, and then presented it to him and said, you, I can write a novel. Go yourself. And then put it up on Amazon and then didn't tell anyone. And I don't know why I did that. And I just remembered that I did that.
Is it still
Epic.
Is it still up to
Yeah,
that?
it's called 6 Legs. And it's,
You happy to share the link? We'll include
yeah,
it in
well,
the
it's
show
probably the
notes.
best thing I've ever done. I spent the most time on it just so I could say, you, Husey, yes, I can. And then didn't do anything with it.
I feel there's an element of spite in a lot of the things that you're doing in publishing. The Husey novel and the celebrity fart books.
Well, no, that one is more, how can I get in on some of this action?
Okay.
And also, if I'm going to have to give my son some sort of nest egg, can someone else pay for it? And can he earn it?
Fair call.
All right, so I've got a fair few stats, so let's just keep rolling. So in America, the average of 500 books sold. So the average author not doing too well. Macquarie University in 2015, back here in Australia, did a study on the Australian book industry called Authors, Publishers and Readers in a Time of Change. As part of that, they surveyed more than 1,000 Australian authors. The average income across those 1,000 authors, $12,900.
Okay. We're going to need another job.
No money in it.
In the US, it's a similar story. So in 2018, the Authors Guild surveyed 5,067 authors. The median income in 2017 was $6,080, with just 3,100 of that being from book income alone.
God help me.
As opposed to like speaking fees,
Yeah.
teaching, book reviews, that kind of stuff.
Delivering Uber. Eats. Oh, my God.
Have you guys heard of Jim C. Hines? He's a sci-fi author.
Okay.
So he publishes his income every year. I think he's been doing it since about 2007. So he's very public with how much he makes. He does all right. He's got a bit of a cult following. But in 2016, he sort of used the platform he has built to survey 400 authors' income and publish that result. And it illustrates the disparity in earnings when it comes to authors. The average was $114,000 a year.
Oh, yeah.
But the median
Yeah.
was $17,000.
There it is. And there it is.
Yeah.
It's all, everything is
Pushed
in
up
that.
the top.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's just that the high earners just drag the average so high up.
And this is the creative industry's bad luck. I'm not crying poor for anyone, and everyone knows the gig.
Yeah.
If people
I
buy the
agree.
book, you rich. If they don't, you ain't.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
That's it. You just need to know that 3%. That's all you need
It's
to know.
not. Yeah, you're right. That's the only number you need.
$3. Yeah.
$3.
Yeah.
Walk away.
Now, here's the thing. The $3 can be improved by doing one thing. Cutting the publisher out. And
Oh, I knew you were going to do this. This is
I
it.
disagree with that. I was thinking about it. That's only 20% saving.
Well, I'm going to talk to the number. 10% was the number with a publisher, the $3. Depending on how you do it, between 40 and 60% is what you take if you self-publish. But distribution is near impossible. So some examples of people that have made incredible amounts of money from self-publishing, Dan Blazarian, Bryce's idol, and David Goggins. So, they have their own distribution channels.
Okay.
So
Which
they-
they've built.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
fair enough too. They've built the platform to say, come and get it.
So let's say you wanted to make $100,000 a year as
Great
an
call.
author.
Yep.
Apparently, the average book RRP is $16.99. So with a publisher, you'd need to sell 58,858 books. If you self-published, you need to fund your own distribution channels, but just sell 11,771 books. Either way, to make $100,000 a year, you have to be a bestseller.
Wow.
And given that 90% of those royalties come in the first 90 days, you need to be knocking out a bestseller every year.
Yeah, you just have to keep writing.
Now, people would ask, what about the movie deal? That's how you make money. And there are some examples of people that have made a lot of money. E.L. James was paid $5 million for the 50 Shades trilogy. J.K. Rowling got a heap of money. But that isn't the norm. For most authors, even if their books go very well, they don't get points on the back end.
Nope.
They get paid a small amount.
Up front.
I'll give you a quick few. Ian Fleming, James Bond,
Oh.
was paid $50,000 in 1961.
Yeah.
It's made over $1 billion in box office. Peter Benchley, who wrote Jaws, was paid $250,000. Not bad.
That's actually a lot.
But Jaws went on to make $430 million.
But that's still a lot in 1976 or whatever it was.
True. The author of Forrest Gump, Winston Groom, was paid $350,000.
However,
Not bad.
However, the term Hollywood accounting came back into vogue because they, in order to not pay him any extra points, they tried to claim that Forrest Gump lost money. The movie.
Yes.
Classic.
Okay. He was pretty
Lost
burnt
money.
by Hollywood. He actually
That's
has
why.
a sequel called Gump and Co. that he refuses to sell.
But that's why.
Yeah. So that's the example. Jurassic Park, Michael Crichton.
Yeah, Crichton.
He got 1.5 mil, not bad.
So that
but
was-
it went on to make $1 billion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Devil Wears Prada.
But Michael Crichton also, a script, ER, was based on a script he wrote when he was a medical student.
Oh,
So he's got it all.
yeah, right.
So but that's what I mean. The television show would have made way more money than
Yeah.
Jurassic
Yeah,
Park.
yeah.
Where's I don't know if he's got a cut of that.
Yeah. So I think that's the takeaway. Like, as an author, it's really hard to make money. And then people say, oh, well, you get the Netflix deal or you get the movie deal. But it's really hard to negotiate and say it's going to be very successful. Like, in hindsight, these are very
And
successful.
they
But
play on that.
yeah, but you got to negotiate before it's made. So let's close the question. 1 to 10, what do you reckon as an author?
I mean, I still stay, I think I said at the start, 1, and I will categorically always tell someone who wants to write a book, if you're only doing it to try and make a living, don't do it.
Yeah. What about you, Ed?
I'm at a 1, but I'm at a 1 with a huge asterisk, which is if you're thinking about doing it, do it, put it online for free, see if anyone cares, and if they do, keep doing it, and one day you could be a #millionaire because the audience will tell you if anyone gives a shit. Great, thank you all.
Right.
You have been listening to an Equity Mates Media production. In the spirit of reconciliation, Equity Mates Media acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. This podcast is intended for education and entertainment purposes. Any advice is general advice only and has not taken into account your personal financial circumstances, needs or objectives. Before acting on general advice, you should consider if it is relevant to your needs and read the relevant product disclosure statement. And if you're unsure, please speak to a financial professional. The hosts of this podcast and their guests may have positions in the companies mentioned. Equity Mates Media operates under an Australian Financial Services Licence 540697.